So these bubble players, I kind of alluded to it. The secondary, and especially the cornerback position, is going to be a position where the 49ers are going to have to make some big decisions. One thing they wanted to make sure they did was not run into the same circumstances they ran into in 2023. As the season progressed in 2023, not only did Ambry Thomas get hurt and injure his hand, have to go on IR for a little bit, but also when he came back, he wasn't the same player. And the 49ers were looking for help when it came to the end of the season and playoffs. They were signing guys off the street, including bringing back Jason Verrett after he had been on Houston Texans practice squad. And they were really high on him. But once again, a season-ending injury. So the 49ers, what do you do at cornerback? Yes, you can address it in the draft, and they did, bringing in Renardo Green. And that was a great pickup. It's a guy with position versatility to move inside and out. That'll put some guys on notice if that was the only move you made. But they didn't stop there because they also signed Isaac Yiadom. And at first, everyone's like, Isaac Yiadom? Who's that? But then when you go and you look at Isaac Yiadom and what he did in New Orleans in 2023, you see a guy who started 8 games because of an injury to Paulson Adebo, and he played really well. He definitely has the proper length. He does a good job of recognizing route concepts. He's able to flip his hips pretty good and run with receivers. He gets in and out of breaks really quick and drives on footballs. I think he's a solid upgrade over Ambry Thomas potentially. So bringing in Isaac Yiadom made sense, especially when you find out that him and Staley were together when Staley was coaching in Denver. That's where Isaac Yiadom got his start. And we know that Brandon Staley has spent time in Denver as a linebacker coach and an outside linebacker coach, but he also has been very fluid with how he works with each one of the groups. So he had a familiarity with who Isaac Yiadom was, and he would know if Yiadom was going to fit the new hybrid style of defensive secondary that they're going to run, where they use a lot of the principles of what you were going to get, with what Brandon Staley runs and the principles that he runs in the Vic Fangio type scheme, and also what you're going to get from Nick Sorensen and the cover 3 scheme that came over, with D'Amico Ryans and Robert Saleh and that group when they came over and they brought that style. So you're going to get kind of a mixture of two, and Isaac Yiadom, the belief is that he's going to fit nice. Now, they didn't stop there in free agency, though, because they brought in Rock Ya-Sin. And Rock Ya-Sin is a player that's been around a little bit, but he's been in some good places and played pretty well. Over the last couple of years, he's dealt with a knee injury, and I'm not sure he was 100% last year when he played for Baltimore. But he was on Baltimore's 53-man roster. He's a guy with a tremendous amount of upside. He was drafted in the second round of the 2019 draft, just a couple of picks ahead of Deebo Samuel. He was in Indianapolis. He played pretty well there, went to the Raiders, played okay there, and then he landed on Baltimore. But the injuries have been the concern. Early reports from OTAs are he looks pretty good. So does Isaac Yiadom. So that puts an emphasis on the other cornerbacks to be able to play well. And the first guy who's going to be on the bubble for me is going to be Ambry Thomas, who I alluded to. Because Ambry Thomas's role within the 49ers defense was to be the cornerback 3, the first guy in to play the outside when Demo had to slide inside. Well, he just didn't live up to expectation in a lot of sense. Were there some times where he flashed? Absolutely. Pass breakups, interceptions would come up sometimes in the run game. But then there were so many questions as well. Sometimes he played too far off, gave too much cushion, allowed catches underneath when he shouldn't have, would jump on double moves and get burnt deep. There were just some big mistakes by Ambry Thomas throughout the year. Plus, his physicality definitely dried up. After he injured his hand, he was not the same physically as he was early on in the year. He would go look for contact. In this case, he wasn't looking for contact. So Isaac Yiadom appears to be a real upgrade at the spot as cornerback 3. Now, if Renardo Green plays nickel corner and starts at nickel corner, of course, that means Deommodore Lenoir is going to play on the outside and stay on the outside. So that's something entirely different. But the signing of Isaac Yiadom put Ambry Thomas potentially on the bubble because he doesn't have position versatility that Renardo Green has. He doesn't have position versatility that some of the other guys, like potentially Rock Ya-Sin, have, that Darrell Luter Jr. potentially has. So he's an outside corner and only an outside corner. And if he's not better than the other guys at playing outside, he doesn't really have a leg to stand on. He's also not a great special teams player. But I think it's going to be difficult for Ambry Thomas to make this roster. What was once thought to be a promising young player who got a lot of snaps in his rookie season in 2021 now looks like it could be the end of the road in San Francisco. Now, it's still got to go get proven on the field. Just because guys got signed and have looked okay in OTAs doesn't mean anything when it comes to play on the field. But Ambry Thomas knows his back is against the wall. If ever there was a time to come out fighting and put your best foot forward and play like you've never played before, it would be now. Because if he doesn't, he's going to end up off this roster, and the 49ers will be going with other players, like players they brought in, like Isaac Yedem and Rock Ya-Sin.